What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast with real stories, real people, and real insight. My name's Stephen Turnbull. I'm an entrepreneur, husband, and father on a mission to empower individuals to share their stories so they can make an impact on you. My friend Christina Sprague, soon to be owner of Olea Esthetics, is in the house today. We talked about transition. This was a really cool episode. Talked about going through transition in your life, unplanned transition from businesses and what that's like. It was an all-around great conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it. Let's get into Christina Sprague. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Make an Impact podcast. I have my friend Christina Sprague in the house today. How are you?
I'm good. How are
Soon
you?
to be owner of Olea Aesthetics.
Yes, sir.
How exciting. This is going to be a great conversation. I'm going to say this is one of the conversations I've really looked forward to. All of them are great, but we have a specific topic that we're going to talk about that I'm very excited about. So let's talk a little bit about where we are today. What brought you to where you are? You sold a successful business. Transition is going to be a topic of what we want to talk about today. And I think what's very cool about it is it's transition in life, business, whatever. And anybody that's listening to this right now, no matter where you are, what stage or who you are and what you do, what we're going to talk about today can apply to you. So I appreciate you wanting to share your story and wanting to talk about this topic. But how are you?
I am very good.
Tell us
I'm really
what's going
excited
on in
to be
Christina's
here.
world. What's going on in Christina's world right now?
Oh, this has been an incredible year. It's been a what I like to call as a pivot year. I'm a local entrepreneur, and we're in the pre-launch phase of a new business right now. And what I want to talk about, I think, is what a lot of people in our area or anywhere, high-achieving professionals, whether you're a business owner or a pioneer in your industry, what we all struggle to articulate, and that's how your identity is tied to your career. And an identity shift when you walk away from what built you.
Can I tell you that, and I didn't think of this till this second, and that's why I said I know we have some notes, but we just go off the cuff. That's part of why I wanted to do this podcast too. Like when somebody says like, what do you want to be known for, whatever, like it was impact. I want to be known for the guy that was always involved in Rotary, that put on some events, that helped people, that gave money to the Hope House, all these different things, not just your local friendly insurance guy. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm blessed in the sense at my ripe age of 31, just at 31, by the way. It hits different than 30. I'm just saying. I told Mike that. To understand that at a younger age of like, hey, what do I want out of this life and what's the purpose behind it versus like, who I am and what I do, because that's not what it's all about. Share with me the experience that we were talking about, if you will, about selling the business, and I introduced you to somebody, and the reaction and kind of how that spurred this conversation.
Oh, gosh.
And we leave out the specifics, but just the general interaction and how you went away from that thinking, oh, this is interesting, and how we're having this conversation today.
Yeah. Well, selling the business was something that was an ultimate goal, and it happened a lot faster than expected. So it was something that it was hard to navigate, and there really wasn't anybody there to help me navigate that. So it was a challenging process, and it's taken me about 10 months now to really articulate the feelings and the emotions and the guilt and the disorientation that I went through to be able to get here now, and now hopefully be able to talk about this and help anybody else go through this process, whether or not you're an individual that is changing career path, that's retiring, whether you're a woman that's looking to start a family and walk away from your career, or you feel like your career isn't in alignment with where you are. And so I think there's so many facets and variables that go along with this topic that I think can resonate with anyone.
So I want to tee this up. So we're at a networking event. I introduced you to somebody, and I said, hey, Billy Joe. I don't know what the guy's name was. Whatever. This is Christina. And you introduced yourself and said, hey, I'm Christina. I recently sold a business. I'm transitioning this and that. And they replied with, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Talk to us about that.
That was a really interesting conversation that we had. You introduced me to somebody here at a networking event, and I didn't know how to introduce myself. I had gone from this very high achieving career on a Friday when I closed on that sale, and on a Monday I woke up and I was unemployed. And so now introducing myself to this individual at this event, I didn't know what to say. Oh, I'm Christina. I am the former owner of such and such, feeling like, okay, well, I'm unemployed, So now you walk away from what my identity was tied to, and you don't feel, even though you've achieved incredible success, now you feel like you're not worthy, right?
Yeah.
That was a wake-up call for me.
What I want, two big takeaways now that I'm thinking about this, that I want from this conversation. One, for the person that is going through a transition, thinking of going through a transition, you're going to be able to provide them with so much value. It's unreal. The other is for that person on the other side of the conversation of, like you said, selling was the ultimate goal. We hit that goal and it was an amazing thing and it was a great achievement, not, oh, so sorry. And allowing people to shift their perspective of, hey, from the outside, maybe this looks different to me, but maybe it's a great thing for that person going through it, right? I mean, and I'll share some of my story in the sense of leaving a family business to start my own business. And still to this day, 3.5 years later, 80% of the response is, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, for what? Because the plan didn't work out to be the plan? Well, I can tell you now that there's people that I've met in my life, experiences that I've experienced, opportunities that would have never come to fruition if I was just on what my plan was. And yeah, I came to a Y in the road and I took a left, and my plan in my head was always going to be to the right, but the left has bared me a lot more fruit than potentially what the right would have, right? And so I think, that's just opening your eyes to when you see these situations happen of like, maybe that is a great thing. Talk to us. You said something in the beginning. I don't know if it was when we were recording or not, about this has been like a 10-month transition so far. We're going to talk about the new venture and all that stuff. We're going to get into that and finding the peace through all that. But talk to us about some of the emotions you felt through that and learning. And now, even in that short time that's probably felt like 10 years, right? 10 months that's maybe felt like 10 years, what you've learned along the way. There's
been so many different feelings and emotions that have run right through me in the last 10 months, even leading up to it, because this was the process that I was in an NDA. I couldn't talk about the sale of the business. So I was already kind of dealing with these emotions, but wasn't able to talk to anybody or express them. After the sale of the business, there were these feelings of, number one, relief. Oh my gosh, okay, I don't have to worry about meeting deadlines and, checking my reviews 5 times a day and, hitting my revenue goals, to feelings of complete disorientation. I woke up Monday morning and I didn't have a job to go to then feeling a calm, right? Okay, now I can actually breathe. I haven't been able to breathe in a decade, right? Because you're constantly stressed, whether or not you're busy, whether or not you're slow, you're always stressed. And going then from peace. Okay, so now I'm feeling this peace, but then let's shift and let's feel guilt, right? Because now I've left this team and I feel, I've almost betrayed their loyalty. They're the ones that helped me get to where I am. I didn't do it on my own. So now you've got these feelings of guilt and guilt versus gratitude. And it's not a linear process either. No. You go back and forth and you almost experience all of these feelings simultaneously. So you're growing, but you're feeling grief. And then you're growing and you're feeling guilt, and it's back and forth. It's been quite the process. And I feel like it's taken this long to actually just wrap my head around those feelings.
In my transition in life over the last 3.5 years, one of my favorite sayings, I'm going to tee you up and I want you to reply to it and tell me what you think about it. There's a reason the flight attendants tell you to put your mask on before helping others. Talk to me about what you feel about that statement.
There's a reason they want you to put your mask on. I think, gosh.
Talk to me about it. There's a reason the flight attendants tell you to put your mask on before helping others, right? And the premise behind that is you have to take care of yourself. And I'm leaning into that.
I know where you're going with this.
I'm leaning into the guilt conversation. Yeah, there was hard conversations. There was team members that you maybe felt like you left down. But what was the reason for Christina? What was the why behind Christina of this transition, and what have you learned through that?
I think you ultimately do have to choose yourself at the end of the day. And I think by choosing yourself doesn't always have to be this selfish choice. I think when you're in any sort of a leadership position like that, even a flight attendant, you are a leader in that position right there during, in that career, you are now building your team to be able to operate without you. So I think I had to shift my perspective on really reflecting back on that process and say, you know what, I worked really hard to build that team and to make sure that they would be okay to thrive. They can do this without us. So it's taking your ego completely out of that situation and saying, they're great. Like, I was just a chapter in their story, in their growth story. I came in and helped them, learn and get better and believe in themselves. And then this company came in and now they're doing even better than they were when I was leading the company. So it really, I had to take myself out of that situation and say, they're going to be okay. This isn't about me. Right. So choosing myself wasn't, you can't always look at it in this selfish, in a selfish way, I think, which is really easy to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Talk to us about the transition of losing the title.
Losing the title, gosh.
And that goes back to that example with that networking event you and I are both at of, I am so-and-so and this is what I do.
Right.
And we're in a culture where that's always the next question. Or you're at you talk about the awkward elevator conversations where you're just kind of sitting there and it's like, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, what do you do? And I like, if you dig into that, like, why, like that's such a crazy thing, but that every time you're talking to somebody for the first time, I would say 98% of the time it's who are you and what do you do?
Right, because it defines you.
And now you've lost that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that's still challenging for me. It's still challenging to go into meetings and say, oh, well, I'm Christina Sprague. I owned Sprague's Collision Center, or I'm Christina Sprague. I'm a licensed esthetician. Right. But now this new company that I'm in the pre-launch stage of isn't exactly, we're not there yet. Right. We're not open. We are in the building stages. And I found it very difficult because now my competence, right, in any area, in business leadership and business development, I've got no proof anymore, right? Now, granted, I do. We can peel those layers back a little bit, and we can say, okay, well, yes, there was tremendous success in the sale of this company, but who am I now, right? I just went to school, right? We're starting over, right? So we're going from this position of leading a company to now back in the learning stages of a new industry, right? So how do you get those people and how do you get and grow clientele and get people to believe in you?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's you have just completely peeled back those layers and you've got to humble yourself.
Talk to me about relearning yourself over these 10 months, because I was going to just say all entrepreneurs, but I'm going to rephrase it as successful entrepreneurs are all wired the right way. They, you can't sleep. You're thinking about the business. You're thinking about this. Did I send that email? Is this person coming in tomorrow? Are they coming in Thursday? I can't remember what you just nonstop to nothing.
Detoxing from the chaos.
Talk to us about that.
The chaos is what I know, right? I thrive on challenge. I thrive on, hitting that next goal and driving revenue and increasing reviews, right? And that's all I knew. And now detoxing from that chaos, it's a completely foreign feeling, is stepping back and now realizing that calm feeling that you're experiencing, it doesn't always equal complacency. And complacency is my biggest fear because I constantly want to grow and challenge myself. But when you're not, when you're looking at growth and you don't have, metrics to make sure that you're hitting these numbers, right? How do you make sure that you're still, how do you keep yourself accountable? And that's been the hardest thing to be comfortable with.
Yeah. What have you learned about yourself through that process?
Oh gosh, I'm still having a lot of trouble with stillness. I'm constantly moving and constantly challenging myself. But I've learned that slowing down does not mean that I'm not growing. I still have the ambition, right? It's still that drive that's wired into an entrepreneur's personality, is that growth aspect. But it's okay just to slow down. This is just a pivot. It's a career change, and you take that ambition, and that this stillness allows you a space for clarity.
Yeah.
And new creativity. I think.
Yeah. This is related, and I'll bring it back, I promise. A friend of mine in the insurance space in another state, whatever, he talked about how, and he started his agency, he was at about year 5 when he did this. When they had their first child, he took a full month off. And he knew that his business was not ready for him to take a full month off. But he found a lot of cracks in the wheel when he came back. And when I tell you, I still tell him, like, the fact that he did this is insane, but literally took a full month off. He was gone, and he did it purposely to try to find that. But he said what he learned about himself through that process of realizing you're going way too hard. You're not taking a day off. And as entrepreneurs, leaders, whatever it is, if you look back, like for me, for example, we went on our honeymoon. I was 8 months into the business. You know, and I was on the cruise ship. I issued an auto policy in the middle of the ocean. I'll never forget that, because I had to. I didn't have a team at that point. I'm not going to say no to this new client. Thankfully, I have a rock star wife who understands where we're at. And I said, I'll meet you up at the bar. I got to get Johnny's policy in and all of that. But taking that step back to say, no, I'm going to take a day off, and I'm going to see how this feels and re-energize yourself. You know, 2 weeks ago, I did absolutely nothing on a Sunday.
When's the last time you did that?
I can't tell you. And Michaela, I think like every 2 hours, it was a perfect time because it was one of the international NFL games. So it was on from like 9 a.m. to like 9 p.m. I was like, it's a perfect day to do it. I just sat on the couch. I was a couch bum the whole day. Cannot tell you the last time I did it. Monday morning, I was so ready to go. It was unreal. And that was a realization for me of it's okay to take a step back, to take a leap forward, right?
And you didn't feel the guilt that day.
And I didn't feel the guilt that day, but it was funny because about every 2 hours, Michaela would be like, are you actually not going to do something? Because this isn't right. Like, are you feeling okay? But that's the way entrepreneurs are wired. But I think it's so hard, and it's a balance of, and this is how I'm bringing it back in. It's a balance of realizing I have to do this because it's going to help me go this much more forward. I have to do this because I'm going to learn this about myself. I have to do this because I have to take a break. Right. I'm going to make myself physically sick if I still work all these hours. I'm going to do all these things. 10 months now removed. Talk to us about what those 10 months have taught you in relation to what you're putting into the new business.
These last 10 months have taught me really that it's okay to slow down and to focus on yourself and for self-care. I mean, the new business is called Olea. I'll be focusing primarily on custom skin treatments, and it's really just bringing clients into my space and having them relax, right? So not only are they going to be getting, results-driven services, but it's a time for them to relax and have, it's almost therapy, right? So these 10 months have taught me that slowing down is going to be okay. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I'm taking a step back, but I'm preparing. And now I'm taking all of that knowledge that I learned from the last decade of building a large company and putting it into a new industry. And it doesn't mean that this new business has to be as large or as chaotic or successful. It's a completely different industry, right? So we're going to look at it and we're just going to scale it back, slow down, focus on what's good for my health, and then what helps my clients and our community ultimately.
Talk to us of the process of truly like finding out what was next.
I always knew that this was what was next. Okay. It's something that I dreamt of for many, many years, but I didn't actually know that I'd ever have the opportunity to go after it, right? So this was, I'm just so blessed, that this opportunity has presented itself to me at my age. Right. And now having all of this time ahead of me to be able to now master a new skill set and create a very, very safe, calming environment for many men and women are in our community, I think is a really special opportunity.
So I want to get into Olea, but I want to back up even further before we do and try to talk to people, because there's guaranteed to be people that are listening and watching this that are thinking about a transition. Like I want to take that transition in general and work it through the stages and whatever you share with us about those stages. But the first stage, and this is from my personal experience, is, am I actually going to do this? Holy shit. Is this actually going to happen? What does it look like? And this is just me, my experience, but it's I don't know if I can do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do it. I don't know if I, in your case, could sell the business. Okay, maybe. And that back and forth, and then realizing until you, and correct me if I'm wrong with you, because everyone's experience is different, until you get to that point of understanding the why behind it. Right. So talk to us about that first stage of transition.
The first stage of transition of selling the business. Of course, that was a 6-month process of negotiating with a national franchise and saying, okay, well, is this the right move or isn't the right move? You know, and I don't think you'll ever know that answer. You go with your gut and you make calculated risk, but you make calculated risk in anything. So, I mean, moving into that building and purchasing that building was huge calculated risk. And then so selling the company that was built and was at its peak, again, calculated risk. You don't know if it's going to be the right thing or not. Right. Just like right now, I don't know if Olea is going to be the right thing. Right. But an entrepreneur or anybody in, a high achieving professional, you don't accept no for an answer. You're going to hear no many, many times. You're going to be told no, you're going to make mistakes, but you don't accept it. Right. So you're always going to find another way around it to achieve your goal. Right. There's no other, there is no plan B. You're going to do it regardless. So here I am now. So let's pivot. And now let's look at where I'm at right now. I was standing in my studio. My studio is currently being built, and my cabinets went in last week, and I'm looking around and I said, oh my God, I've got to make this work. Somehow I have to make this work. How do I get people to trust me? Where do I get, where do you get the clients from? Now you've got to start marketing, right? So there's all these facets to it. And there's, of course, always going to be a little fear there, but you don't accept no for an answer. You're going to figure it out.
100%. What do you say, just backing up real quick, because I want to get to this point, like, what, with your experience, what do you say to the people that are listening to this that are thinking of the transition? Like in that, what I meant by like the stages of, am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Like your mind, the human mind is the biggest enemy at that point, because you're just so back and forth.
Right. Because you're thinking in logic.
Correct.
I think ultimately you're going to think in your gut. Your gut is going to tell you ultimately what you need to do or not. So you've got to trust that.
That's so good. That's so good. I want to dive deeper into that, because I making the decision for yourself. We talked about putting the mask on before helping others, right? In your gut. Talk to us about your experience of like, I know I have to do this for myself, doing it, and then pivoting it. Like the I'm looking for the in between of we sold the business and now looking at the cabinets in the new studio, like, oh shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What that pivot looks like. Gosh, there's this period of stillness, right? Between leaving that, not having a job, and now saying, okay, well, I'm going to go back to school. We're just going to start new. And now you're starting from the beginning, and you're this person that doesn't know any, you're at the same level as everybody else. Right. I think you have to humble yourself, and you just got to trust yourself and take a step back and say, well, I'm not going to be great, or maybe you will, but you're going to make mistakes, but that's okay. You have to accept that. Bringing yourself back to that learner and that beginner stage is incredibly terrifying for anybody that's been like, okay, well, I just ran this, multi-million-dollar company, and now I'm scaling this back, right? Anybody is going to be terrified. And that's, I think, a very natural response to that. But again, let's pivot back and let's talk about that gut feeling. You're ultimately going to know what the right decision is for you. But what holds us back is our concern about everybody else around us, our concern about what people are going to think, our concern about, betraying our loyalty to our team. And that when they're the ones that actually created the success, right? I can't take credit for that.
Yeah.
It was my team that did it.
The experiences that got you to where you are today. We talk about that a lot. The experience of going from all these different stages to what gets you to where you are today, and reflecting on that is the most important part.
Absolutely. And I think, and I want to go back to that stillness aspect of it between, in between this 10-month period, the stillness, where it's a completely foreign, and we touched on this earlier, but a completely foreign feeling does that stillness mean that I'm not actually going to do it, or does that stillness mean that
Mike's alarm? We're hitting it. Is that mine? Stillness. Remember how I said we don't edit here?
Or does it,
I gotta wake up.
mean calm, right? Yeah. And I think anybody that's in that's constantly building and trying to achieve, and you're constantly accelerating, right?
Yeah.
And what I needed to find was, instead of building that acceleration, was finding alignment instead.
Right. Talk to us about the alignment.
The alignment
for you.
The alignment for me is really making sure that it was learning who I am deep down, relearning who I was deep down, believing in myself and believing that, wait a minute, you know what? I did do that, and my team helped build the company, but they built the company because they believed in my leadership. Right? So it's always a giving back and looking at that gratitude piece.
What I love is that you can take that towards the next. I love this picture that you drew out for us of the cabinets. Like the story of I did that, and taking that back to that is what you can tie into that. How many times have you gone back to that during this journey?
It's constant. I'd say it's almost every day. I say I stand in that space and I look around and I picture exactly where everything is going to go. And I'll reach my hands around me and I'll say, okay, well, my client's going to be sitting right here. And these are the products that I'm going to pull out. And this is how I'm going to, to serve my client. And I walk myself through that studio and sitting down and talking to them about retail products and home care plans, and really a holistic idea, a holistic approach, not necessarily beauty oriented, but a holistic approach, right? Because I think I do that so much, I know that when that first client comes in, it will be second nature to me.
Right. Well, you're allowing yourself to see the vision too, right? I think that's a critical part of transition too, is thinking of what is it going to look like? Because what did you say? There's no plan B.
No.
This is what it's going to look like.
You're going to make it work.
I want to get into the new business and dive through that because we're coming up on time. But the last thing I want, just straight up, if you meet somebody right now and they say, oh, I'm possibly going through this transition thing, like what's the first thing that you'd say to them? What's the first piece of advice? What's the first thing that you would say to the person that's looking to do a big transition in their life, professionally, personally, whatever it might be?
Weigh out all the pros and cons. Go with your gut. What ultimately do you want out of life? Do you want to continue grinding, or is there an opportunity for you to take this achievement and move it into something else, right? And take the skill set that you've garnered and transition it and use those skills to help grow another industry or help other individuals. And
you've said this, it's such a blessing that you got to that point to be able to do that, to realize this is what I want to do. We had a conversation with Alicia Dix, and we talked about the importance in the career, and the earlier you can catch this of what I don't want to do versus like what I want to do. And we had a little discussion about how in colleges, how they should have these conversations with young kids and young professionals of like, no, what do you, and I've heard a lot of people start to talk about this. What do you not want your life to look like? If I don't want to sit behind a desk all day, let's not look at an office
So it's
job.
the process of elimination. You figure out what you don't like first, and I think in situations like for me particularly, right, when I knew that this is something what I want to do, transitioning into this new career, right, this new industry, and when you know, the moment that I put my hands on a client, I knew that was the industry I was supposed to be in. That was what I was meant for.
That's so
Not
cool.
only am I healing my client, but I was healing myself through it.
That's powerful.
And that's the moment that I knew, yes, I made the right decision.
That's so cool. What a great transition. No pun intended. Olea.
Olea's exciting. We are looking to open. I say we, it's really me, looking to open within
You,
the next 3
yourself, and
months.
I.
Me, myself, and
That's
I. And I'm looking at the next, I'd say 3 months. And that's because this studio is really, we brought this building down to studs and we are building it from the ground up. And what I'm looking for and the clientele that I'm looking to bring in are people that are, number one, believe that self-care is an important part, that you've got to fill your own cup before you can fill anybody else's, right? So taking care of yourself. Also, people having a holistic approach to beauty. So, okay, what I'll be doing custom skin treatments, right? So we're talking dermaplaning, microdermabrasion, chemical peels, things like that. But ultimately, I want results-driven services for my clients. So we're going to be talking about your diet, your lifestyle, your sleep schedule, all of these things that are going to lead ultimately to the skin that you want to achieve, right? So yes, we're looking at the cosmetic, the skin, right? The lifting, the lymphatic system, but it has to come from a holistic aspect. And I think that's just the way that I see life anyway. And I see my own health and the way that I take care of myself. And I'm really hoping to bring that to the clientele in our area. And
what a cool thing too to build out the studio. Talk to us about that.
The studio build's been incredible. I hired Lawrence Meza Contracting.
He's great.
He's incredible, the most incredible team to work with. And they have taken every idea that I have thrown at them and just rolled with it. So we built this beautiful cabinetry system, beautiful built-in arched cabinet for my retail. And my clients will be able to walk right in the front door. It will be a private setting, so one client at a time. You'll walk in, you'll be very comfortable. We'll do an in-depth skin analysis. We'll talk about what your goals are, what your lifestyle looks like, and we'll dive right in. And you'll go home with a real solid health or home care plan as well. And maybe products if you're interested, but that's not something that we'll be pushing. I think it's more about what you're able to commit to and just making sure that a program is sustainable for my clients.
That's so cool. So happy for you.
Thank you.
It's been such a cool journey to watch.
Thank you.
And so, Olea Aesthetics, before we wrap up, because I know you got like the social media pages, tell people where it is, where it will be.
Yeah.
You said about 3 months or so.
3 months, I'd say. We'll be doing a soft opening, and because there will still be some construction going on, we'll be offering discounted services. We're located at 64 Henderson Street in New York Mills. That's right next door to Sprague's Collision Center, right off of Commercial Drive. It's a beautiful building. And we'll also be at an event coming up on December 11th for Modern Moms.
Natalie Schreiber, she was on the show. That's
yes.
right.
So I'll be there. So you'll be able to learn a little bit about our services, get a skin consultation there as well. And if you'd like to check us out online, we're at www.olea-aesthetics.com and also on Instagram at olea.aesthetics.
One last thing. People wondering, maybe this is just a Stephen Turnbull question, so help me here. Just when I think of aesthetics, what do I need to think of?
Aesthetics?
Like the services that you will provide.
Aesthetics is basically, that's the licensure. So I'm licensed in doing, almost not full cosmetology, but your makeup, your waxing services, your lash lifts, your brow laminations, all of these pretty things that women like, but primarily
Mike and I know all about this. Yeah.
Primarily what I'll be focusing on is just skin treatments.
Very cool. Very cool. Christina, I'm super excited for you. I really appreciate you coming in and being transparent, frankly, with sharing your story, because I think it's a very important conversation. And one last thing that I wanted to bring up that I forgot about, and I just reminded myself. I think it's powerful to have this conversation because you can get into the hamster wheel of doing what you're always doing and then wake up and you're 70 years old.
Yep.
And what a blessing that you were able to sell the business, able to have a great run with that, and now pour everything you've learned into Olea and what you're doing. And too far, if you think of relatives, people that you know in the community or whatever, are been doing the same thing for 40, 45 years. Maybe they love it, which is great. And maybe, and like I tell people all the time, and like I started with this, I don't want to just be known as like the insurance guy. Right? I want to be known as making an impact on people, having great relationships, doing great things in the community, giving back to people. Like that's what I know that I want to do. And maybe that, I think of our friend Scott Greats. He's an insurance guy. Look at all the amazing things that he's doing.
He sure is.
And he's used that business and that amazing business that he's built to empower the things that he's doing in his life.
As a platform.
Right?
Right. But in order to do that, number one, you've got to stay intentional. Number two, you have to constantly be present and just be true to yourself. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Break. I know we were going to end, but I like this. It's too good. Break that down for me about constantly being present. What do you mean by that?
Just being aware of what you're able to offer and what's good for you inside. And, you know, one thing I want to mention is when we're talking about all this and we're talking about this pivoting, right, and being able to make an impact, you know, that presence means to make sure that that magic is never lost on you. To always say, oh my gosh, okay, I am so blessed to be here right now. I'm so blessed to be able to have this opportunity and to be able to provide and give back to these individuals, you know, to whoever, right? Your community, your clients. Don't allow the magic to be lost.
So cool. You're going to kick ass. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
Since I just derailed us there, hit one more time of where to find you, the socials and all that.
Yes, 64 Henderson Street, New York Mills, just off Commercial Drive. And Olea-Esthetics.com. Shout out to Ryan McGrogan for creating an incredible website for me. And Olea.Esthetics on Instagram.
Ryan McGrogan is the T5 logo guy too. I
Fantastic.
called him. I said, I want a T, a 5 with bullhorns. And he was the first version. I said, yep, sign me up.
You got
Good
it.
to go. He's the best. You're going to kick ass. I'm so grateful for you and your friendship and just super excited to see this. Make sure to check out Christina and Olea and all that good stuff coming up in the next few months. Until next time, go out there, lead with purpose, and make an impact in someone's life today, even if that's your own. My name's Stephen Turnbull. We'll see you next week. Take care.